If the enemy can't entice you into sin, he will offend you into sin. Maybe that statement offends you. If it does, you need to listen to what's coming next. Jesus cares a great deal about how we steward offenses in our life. In Matthew 24, he's talking in the context of the last days, and he says the day's going to come that many people are offended. Have you ever looked around lately and seen people that are offended about everything? It's because the enemy knows if he can get people offended, he can get them deceived. How do I make that jump to that conclusion? Because Jesus said there in Matthew 24, it said in the last days many will be offended. It says, then many will betray one another, will hate one another, and it says, and then many false prophets will arise and deceive many. So understand, deception grows best and spreads most rapidly in an atmosphere of offense. So what does the enemy do? He doesn't come in immediately trying to bring deception. He first tries to bring an offense. That offense eventually leads into a betrayal where there's a breakdown in the relationship, and it ultimately goes to hate, which is fostered as the offense continues to grow in someone's heart. And then in that place, it's open for the enemy to come in and bring deception. Oftentimes what will happen is people will find someone to partner with them in the offense, and they feed off each other, and they lead themselves away from Christ, away from His church, away from God's people, and they find themselves in a place of victimization. Now, the reality is this, is that things happen, and let me be clear, I'm not talking about abuse and enabling abuse, any of that kind of stuff. What I'm talking about is in human relationships, offenses happen all the time. In marriages, offenses happen. But there has to be an atmosphere of forgiveness and of grace and of understanding. In Proverbs 19:11, it talks about how it's the wisdom of a man that gives him patience, and that his glory causes him to overlook an offense. So in other words, we don't keep offenses. We don't store them. We don't collect them. Rather, we talk to those we need to. Jesus laid that out in Matthew 18. If you have an offense with someone, like go to the person. If that doesn't work, bring someone else with you. If that doesn't work, go to the leadership of the church and then make sure that it's resolved. But what we're having a lot of in these days is somebody getting offended, and then that offense leads to another offense, and no conversations have been had, simply accusations have been thrown. And I believe if we want to do this in a healthy way, what we have to do is ask the Lord to search our heart. Because when it comes to offense becomes a lens through which we see everything. When someone is offended, they will interpret every action of another person as unjust and wrong and evil and manipulative, and they just project all of that offense onto this person. The issue with it is this, is you have people that are living in bitterness, not from what people are doing, but from the projected interpretation of that person's motives, which they clearly don't know. Now, there's grace for this. The Lord wants us to be able to forgive and move on. The Lord wants us to be able to talk about the tough things we need to talk about, but we can't do that if we're living in a steady state of offense. Today, I'm going to invite you to do something. When I started talking about this, you immediately thought of someone. Like if you have an offense in your heart, you thought about this person, this organization, whatever it may be. And I just want to encourage you, like if there's something wrong, like go to the person. If that doesn't work, take someone. If that doesn't work, go to the leadership, which is what Matthew 18 says. But above all, give it to Jesus. Ask God to search your heart, to give you grace in your heart for others, because I guarantee you, all of us have needed someone else to show us grace. So we should freely give it to others. I love you all. Walk in freedom. God bless.